again guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are in the Just Flight de Havilland Dove and we'll be taking a trip from Manchester via the Pole Hill VOR and then the Tala VOR up to Glasgow. The Just Flight Dove is a great little add-on actually. It's very immersive, lots of fun, that perfect old school combination of lots of hands-on flying and very limited avionics. I really enjoyed the flight today actually, so I hope you guys do as well. Thanks very much and I hope you enjoy the video.
Okay, so we've just waited for the last of our passengers, or we are just waiting for the last of our passengers to board. We've completed the pre-start checklist and we can call for our clearance.
Manchester, clearance delivery, Speedbird 2385, this type Havilland Dove, IFR to Glasgow, ready to copy.
Speedbird 2385 is cleared to Glasgow Airport as filed. Fly runway heading, climb and maintain altitude 5,000, departure frequency is 118.575, clock forward 125.
Speedbird 2385, cleared to Glasgow Airport as filed. Fly runway heading, climb and maintain altitude 5,000, departure on 118.575, clock forward 125.
Speedbird 2385 correct, contact ground on 121.7.
Okay, so once it's on runway heading initially, which is 234, we have that selected. 5,000 feet for the climb and the squawk has been set. The ground crew have just removed the chocks, and I suspect we have the last passenger on board. Door is closing now. No smoking and seatbelt signs can go on. We'll assume we've been given start clearance. So start it is fuel pumps on. Parking brake is on. Entrance door is closed. Radios are checked. Anti-collision light on. And we start the first engine, so prime, magneto switch is on, and start button press. Starting engine 1. So oil pressure a little bit low. RPM we need to set to 1200. RPM. Okay, oil pressure is good now, it's 40 psi minimum. Fuel pressure looks good. Generator is on. Start the second engine. O prime. Magneto's on. Start engine 2. Yeah, it's 1200 RPM, oil pressure is good, fuel pressure checked, generator switch is on. For the warm up, the ground crew can move the GPU, generators are on, fuel is on, priming switches are off, flaps up, magnetos we will check each engine. And he says good. Compass 228. 228. Checks. Artificial horizon is checked. Radios and neves are tuned as required. I have nav1 tuned to Pole Hill VOR at the moment. Entrance door is closed. Taxi clearance we will get shortly. Altimeter is set. QNH1025 from the ASUS. Pneumatic pressure is checked. Shocks have been removed. Taxi lamp says as required. It's a nice day outside, so we won't bother. Okay, let's call for taxi.
Manchester ground, Beaver 2385 with information Sierra, West taxi, IFR.
Beaver 2385, taxi, holding point for runway 24 flight, contact tower on 118.625 when ready.
Taxi, hold short runway 24 right, Beaver 2385.
Okay, so runway 24 right, just out to our left wing here. Although it's actually runway 23 right now in the real world, so I'm a little bit surprised because I thought Lockheed Martin has updated all these things. I guess not. Anyway, we'll taxi forward. Brake check. Flight instruments are checked. Mace making and seatbelt signs are on. Parking brake is off. Pretty nice day here in Manchester. Fortunately, it's not going to be the same in Glasgow. The ASUS for Glasgow is a 700-foot cloud base in rain. So for the takeoff brief, we'll be climbing on runway heading initially to 5,000 feet. Nice and simple. Just Flight don't give you any power settings for takeoff or climb or cruise in the manual, which is a little bit unhelpful, so we'll just do full power for the takeoff. Maybe reduce a little bit for the climb, and then the cruise we'll just have to figure out what works. They don't give you any fuel burn figures either, but I reckoned it would vary roughly about 50 imperial gallons an hour for fuel burn. So I've fueled us accordingly. Hopefully my maths is correct and we'll get there in one piece. We'll take this intersection here, as obviously the runway at Manchester is more than long enough for an aircraft like this. Slightly off the taxi line there, just to avoid that sign. Okay, park brake is set. Come back to 1200 RPM. So before takeoff checklist, trim is neutral, RPM levers are maximum, fuel is on, and quantities are checked. Fuel pumps are on, and the fuel pressure is checked. Flaps 20. Cowl flaps are open. Flight instruments are checked. Flying controls are checked. Hatches are secured. Altimeter set. Transponder set. Taxi and landing lights. We'll take the landing lights. And parking brake we'll leave on for now. So ready for takeoff. Seen the tower 18625.
Manchester Tower, Speedbird 2385 at runway 24 right, ready for departure, IFR to Glasgow.
Speedbird 2385, clear for takeoff, runway 24 right, service wind 1 at 5.
Clear for takeoff, runway 24 right, Speedbird 2385.
Clear for takeoff, is clear on the approach. It's a very slight crosswind from the left. So say departing runway heading and then expecting radar vectors to the Pole Hill VOR. And full power. Rudder is not very responsive. 100 knots. Plus climb. Gear up. Gear up, lights out. And climb away at 100 knots. Again, no speed given by Just Flight.
Contact Manchester, departure clock 118.575.
Number 218.575, Speedbird 2385.
18575.
Manchester departure, Speedbird 2385.
Hey, flaps can come up.
Through altitude 1000, or altitude 5000. Speedbird 2385, Manchester departure, roger. QN 1025. Bird 2385, turn right heading 015, zero navigation, flight altitude 5000. Turn right heading 015, zero navigation, climb and maintain altitude 5000. Speedbird 2385.
So right turn heading 015, climb to 5000. And the altimeter is good. Reset the tuning. We'll bring the power back now for the climb. At least bring it out of the amber arc. Goes 40 on the manifold and 25 on the RPM. So climb checklist, undercarriage is up, flat, up, landing lights, up, and temperatures and pressures look good. Cowl flaps will keep open, and the fuel pumps will leave on until the cruise. Manchester Airport. coming onto our heading of 015. ,1,000 feet to go.
Climb and maintain altitude 10,000. Climb and maintain altitude 10,000. Bird 2385.
Okay, cleared up to 10,000 feet, which is our cruise flight level today. Obviously 10,000 feet is as high as you'd want to go without oxygen. The aircraft's unpressurised. I thought we'd got all the way up to 10,000 as there is a fair amount of high terrain en route. So stay on the heading 015 till we intercept the 015 radial to Pole Hill, which I have set on the nav 1. No distance measuring equipment on this aircraft, so it's a bit tricky to figure out how close you are to the VOR or not. Seems to be climbing quite happily at 110 knots, so we'll leave it there for now. Supposedly the cruise speed's around 160 knots, so we'll when we get to the cruise we'll set the power and try and keep it roughly 150 knots. It really is a lovely day in the north of England. I haven't seen too many days like this in this part of the world. We can identify the pole, and we can identify the Pole Hill VOR. Looks good. So we know that what we're following is what we want to be following. A bit of light turbulence passing through 8,500 feet. Hopefully that will clear up before we reach the cruise. If it doesn't, we'll consider descending back down to 8,000. Hope we kept the seatbelt signs on. Yeah, it's 1,000 feet to go. Engines look good.
Mercury 85, contact ancestor control at 118.775. 118.775, Mercury 85. Manchester control, Mercury 85 with you. Mercury 85, Manchester control, roger. 2NH1065.
Okay, QNH still 1025, that's 10,000 feet, we'll level off.
Contact Manchester departure on 118.575. Over 218.575, Mercury 85, thanks, bye-bye.
P3D ATC being a bit stupid there, handing it back over to the previous frequency. We'll just give it a minute, try and let it switch over to the next zone. Sometimes it hands you back and forth all day long. So as I say, we'll accelerate to 160 knots and then we'll adjust the power accordingly. Yeah, it's all trimmed off nicely now on our heading, so we can set the autopilot. Autopilot master's on, heading holds on, and altitude hold on. Make out a wind farm below us there at 11 o'clock. Quite a lot of wind farms in this part of the world, and indeed all around the UK. Okay, well as I say, we don't have any power settings given to us by JustFlight, but what I've got right now seems to be just a little less than 160 knots, which they reckon is the cruise speed, so we'll leave the power where it is. Temperatures and pressures look good, so it should be okay. Hopefully the fuel burn won't be too high with this power setting. We're in the cruise now, so we'll do the checklist. So temperatures and pressures are normal. Cow flaps, as I say, we'll leave them open for now. The temperature's a little bit on the warmer side. Fuel pumps off. See if I can even get to those from here. There we go. And the fuel content. About 40 gallons in each tank, so 80 gallons of fuel. We should 200 mile trip, so we should need about 50 gallons for the trip, which leaves us with 30 extra, which is enough to get us to Edinburgh, which is our alternate today, and a little bit of holding it at Glasgow as well. As you can see, Pole Hill VOR is actually, we're diverging from it. Obviously that ATC heading wasn't very good, so we'll adjust accordingly. They could really do with updating the ATC system in P3D, but I do still prefer it to X-Plane. Not bad, but it's a bit clumsy. Come all the way up to heading of 060 to try and get back a little bit on that radial. And when we pass over the VOR, we'll note the time and we'll calculate the time to the next waypoint. Okay, we have just passed over the VOR. Next heading should be 334. Put that on the nav course as well. So it should be a course of 334 to the Tango Lima Alpha Tala BOR. And it should be about 40-minute leg. So the time currently is 10:07. Expecting to arrive at Tala at 10:47. So I'm not that bad at maths, it's just my pen stopped working for a second. And we'll just come slightly left of the course to get back onto the, slightly left on the heading to get back on our course. So arriving 10:47 at Tala, we'll expect to change over to the Tala VOR at 10:27, and we'll do a fuel check halfway along the leg as well. For now I'm going to leave you in the cruise, give you some nice scenic shots as we pass along, and I'll come back in 20 minutes to change over to the Tango Lima Alpha VOR. Okay, there's 1027 on the time. Looking at the fuel, we have 30, what is that, 31, 2, 3, 33 gallons in each tank, so that's 66 gallons total. So we had 80 gallons at top of climb. Let's say actually from top of climb it was 20 minutes because it was. So checking the fuel, we had 80 gallons from the top of climb, and we now got 33 in each tank, so 66 gallons, 14 gallons burned. We were expecting to burn about 50 gallons an hour, and that is 30, 42. So burning about 42 gallons an hour, which is well below what we were expecting to burn, so we've got plenty of fuel. And we can change over now to Tango Lima Alpha VOR. Not that one, it's that one. So it's pointing roughly where we'd expect, we'd identify it. That is the correct Morse code, and actually we are maintaining the course quite nicely. Come back onto our heading. So another 17 minutes roughly to run to Tango Lima Alpha, and then from there we're just tracking direct to Glasgow. Okay, so he already wants us on a heading, vectors for the ILS. So let's turn on to that heading. And since we're not worried about the Carlisle NDB anymore, we can tune. Yeah, we'll tune the Glasgow NDB in a second. So this is the air traffic control handing us back and forth again. We'll just leave it for a moment, let it make up its mind. Glasgow NDB 331. I'm not picking that up just yet. And we can tune the Glasgow VMR as well, since we're not using Tango Lima Alpha anymore. 115.4. Looks like we are picking that up already, we can identify that. That's correct. Now we'll talk to Carlisle again, since it doesn't seem to want us back on Manchester.
Carlisle approach, Beaver 2385 with you. Beaver 2385, Carlisle approach, Roger, QSH 1022.
1022 is good. Yeah, fuel's just gone below 60 gallons, so we've got about an hour and a half left in the tank. Be more than enough for this approach, and then diverting if we need it. Okay, for the descent checklist it says propellers 2700 RPM. Bizarrely that's the only single power setting piece of information they give you. So 2700. Altitude hold off, reduce the power, send down to 4000. Okay, 1024 on the QNH. Just keeping an eye on the speed, it is creeping up a little bit there. Keep bringing the power back. Want to be descending at least 500 feet a minute.
Glasgow airport information flight 1528 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky condition clear. Temperature 14.2.9 UNH 1025. ILS runway 5 continues. Landing and departing runway 5. CFR aircraft in direction of flight. All aircraft made back full short to zero in. Advise controller on initial contact you have Mike.
Okay, well, looks like the weather from this morning has cleaned up very nicely. It's Cav OK now, calm wind, and runway 5. But the ILS 05 at Glasgow, flight 50-1, ILS 110.1, the final approach track 051, aerodrome elevation 28 feet. Profile check at 7.3 DME, 2,400 feet. The MDA is 230, and this approach is climb on runway heading to 3,000 feet. There is some high terrain around, mostly up to the north. The MSA is 4,900. I'd say the weather's looking nice now, which should make the approach a lot easier. But it's a bit of a shame, I was quite looking forward to doing some instrument approach stuff in the Dove. Yeah, it looks like the ILS Glasgow's just being picked up now. Well, I didn't that. That is correct.
Hamburg Mike Papa Whiskey, turn right heading 300.
Turn right heading 320. Hamburg Mike Papa Whiskey.
Quite a nice sound effect actually from Just Flight. You can hear the harmonics of the propellers being slightly out of sync. And we'll put the seatbelts back on. We're coming back into the cloud layer.
Hamburg Mike Papa Whiskey, descend 2,400.
Descend and maintain 2,400. Hamburg Mike Papa Whiskey.
Just picked up the Glasgow NDB as well. We don't need it for navigation, but it's useful to have. Less than 1,000 feet to go. Probably press switch just off our left wing.
Speedbird 2385, turn right heading 355. Turn right heading 355, Speedbird 2385. Hamburg Mike Papa Whiskey, York 16 miles southwest, turn right heading 0.
Fortunately, that's the 10 rate with the turn there.
2,400, clear ILS, runway 5, approach, maintain 2,400 until established on the localizer. Contact Glasgow Towers on
There's our
118.
sky clear.
Speedbird 0385, turn left heading 305. Turn left heading 305, Speedbird 2385.
Yeah, so that's press switch just behind us. In Glasgow, if you can just follow the coast along, you see there's an inlet.
Speedbird 0385, turn left heading 300. Turn left heading 320, Speedbird 2385.
There's an inlet running from west to east. Glasgow's just down that inlet basically. Power setting seems to be reasonable. We've got the localizer and the glide slope now. Again, we're going to be completely visual, so we shouldn't really need it. can run the approach checklist. So the approach checklist radios, tunes and instruments online, which we have. Altimeter is set and checked. Fuel 25 in each tank now, so it's about an hour's worth of fuel. 2,400 feet. Fuel pumps on. And landing lights on. No smoking, seatbelts are on and the park brake is off. The approach checklist complete.
Contact Glasgow Tower on 118.8. Turn right heading 020, 2,400. Cleared ILS. Runway 5, approach. Maintain 2,400. Until assembly. Tower on 118.8. Bird 2385.
And again, just keeping an eye on that speed. Talk to tower.
Glasgow Tower. Bird 2385 is 16 miles southwest inbound ILS. Runway 5, approach. Speedbird 2385, Glasgow Tower. Continue. Runway 5. USA 1025. Continued approach. Runway 5. Speedbird 2385.
Connect 1025. Stay on this heading till we intercept the localizer. And descending down to 2,400 feet. So there's the inlet I mentioned. You just follow it round to the east, and Glasgow is just off there at our 1 o'clock. Once we get down to 2,400 feet, we'll start slowing down, taking some flaps. Again, I don't know the gear or the flap speed, didn't see those in the manual from Just Flight. And it says there 20 degrees of flap for landing. I'm a bit surprised, but that's what we'll go with. Okay, levelling off. Start slowing up a little bit more. Okay, the localizer. And already visual with the runway. We'll just fly visual approach, we won't bother with the ILS. It's a nice day. Yeah, this aircraft's very nice to hand fly actually. Using the PAPI for guidance now. Take some flaps. And we'll maintain 110 knots. Seems reasonable for the climb. Yeah, As I expected, the ORBX tour scenery is lovely in Scotland as well. Okay, to land. So immersive with all the accurate roads and the traffic. Great scenery. We'll aim to vacate at Charlie when we land. And we're going to go down. It's already showing 2 greens, but that can't be accurate. It is accurate, it's a very quick gear extension. So landing checklist, throttles as required, undercarriage down, 2 green lights, 3 green lights. Flaps 20, indicating 20, RPMs 2700. Cow flaps are open. Landing check is complete. Must say I've never been sure about the PAPI in Flight Simulator. That looks about on profile to me as it would in real life right now, but always seems to show high. And I've found that in every iteration of Flight Simulator. I don't know if it's to do with the view or the way the view system works, but yeah, any lower than that right now in the real world, I think it looks pretty low. And it's not just me, I've heard other people say the same thing. Anyway, the runway is more than long enough for this type of aircraft, so we'll be fine. A bit of a float. Nice landing. And it looks like what's Charlie on my chart, possibly a runway now. Anyway, we'll take the next taxiway off. Plenty of time to slow down. Yeah, so we'll come off at Delta. Probably wouldn't in real life, but a bit of a shorter taxi. Clear on the right.
Paper 2385, contact ground on 121.7. Contact Glasgow ground on 121.7. Ebird 2385, thanks for the help, bye.
Okay, contact the ground.
Glasgow ground, Ebird 2385, request taxi to descend. Ebird 2385, taxi to descend here 7, taxiway Delta Golf Mike. Taxiing to descend 27, via taxiway Delta Golf Mike. Ebird 2385.
Okay, so Delta we're on now. Mike was just a left and then the first right, and 27. It's on the international here just at the back. Obviously we're not international, but we'll take it. So Delta Mike should be the next right, which it is. Quickly do the after landing checklist. So RPM as required, we'll go full RPM. Flaps up. Trim is neutral. Fuel pumps off. Pitot heat can go off. Landing light off. The after landing check is complete. So taxiing onto Mike. And then 27, as I say, is right down the back on our right. Quite sure what's going on with the air bridges there. Having never been to Glasgow, I don't know if that's really how they are. Can't quite make out the gate numbers in the sim. That says 28. Doesn't seem to be a taxi line for us to 27, but we'll just make it up as we go. And there's a luggage truck parked very helpfully right in front of the entrance to the bay. Obviously we wouldn't be doing this in real life, but we'll just have to make do today. Wings clear. I think the scenery is a bit skewed here. Must be two airports interfering with each other. Might be that the ORBX version and the Scott Flight version are mismatched. A little bit more. Okay. Part brake is on. Go 1200 again on the throttle. Shutdown checklist, parking brake is on, RPM 1200 for 2 minutes. Also just let the engines cool down, the temperature equalise a little bit. But for the sake of the video we're not going to waste 2 minutes. Magnetos check. Magnetos are good. Radios and nav aids all off. As far as we can tell there is no on or off switches on these older radios. Generators off. Slow running cutouts pulled. I don't think this has those modelled, I could be wrong. We'll just go fuel tank selectors off. Cow flaps closed. Magneto switches off. Anti-collision lights off. Navigation lights will leave on. Cockpit lights off. Ground flight switch to ground. Seatbelts can go off. And battery switch off. Ground crew put the chocks in, and sounds like the cabin crew open the door. The passengers can disembark. Okay, well that's the end of the flight for us, guys. Really enjoyable flight actually. As I say, I really like the Just Flight Dove. It's good fun to fly, and it's that perfect balance of hands-on flying, but with the sort of commercial element to it still. If you did like the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. And if you do have any questions or comments for me, please leave them down in the comment section below. Thanks very much, and I'll see you again soon.